So, hello everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I am just popping in the evaluation. If you wouldn't mind doing that for me, that would be great. And we'll keep Pam and Lorraine happy. Just at the end of the session. Just your honest feedback is always valued. So if Moretta's terrible, it's fine. He definitely
Whatever.
would be.
It's fine for you
Um,
guys. Yeah.
if I could also get you to log into Adobe Express, it's always much more fun whenever
Yeah.
you're doing it along with us. That would be great. The session will be recorded and shared with you after as well. So don't feel like you need to keep up with everything or you need to know and stay up with everything that Meredith is doing. He does this a million times over. So don't feel pressured to be having it perfect. It's just about having a bit of fun and just learning how you can use it in your classroom as well. And if anyone has any issues with getting into Express, just let me know. I will be in the chat. So if you have any questions, queries, concerns, just let me know. Great, and enjoy the session.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. Well, thanks very much, guys, and thanks for your time at the end of a school day. Really appreciate that. On a Monday as well, that is extra brutal. So thanks for coming along, and I really hope that you get a lot of useful stuff out of this. So yeah, welcome to Adobe Express. So I'm going to share my screen now. I'm sharing my audio as well because we'll look at some sound as well. So if we decide to have a conversation or somebody wants to turn their mics on or at any point, somebody remind me to stop sharing my screen because I think that's what's causing the feedback. All right, cool. So just before we jump into Express itself, it's worth you making a note of this page, and I'm sure Ruth will pop this link into the chat as well. It's the big link that we'd like you to take away today. It's adobe.ly/express links. So this is the UK education team's kind of one-stop shop for everything we do. So for example, if you scroll down in the first section here, we've got our live lessons. So our live lessons are aimed for 7 to 13-year-olds, users that are kind of new to Express, want to learn the basics. So we do those around calendar events. We run multiple live lessons every single week. They're all free, and you can sign up. So you just get your class logged into Express, put the live stream up on the class board, and join in. A lot of the teachers that come along actually find that really good PD as well. So they're kind of facilitating their class in learning new skills, but teachers are also using it as a way to upskill themselves at the same time. Keep scrolling down, and what we've got there then are a load of cool, useful playlists for you with different specific types of things, like drawing, for example, Key Stage 3 for those of you working maybe in secondaries. But then we've got our ebooks, which are mapped to the curriculum. So if you keep scrolling down, you'll see here 45 lesson ideas for the Scottish classroom. Is mapped to the Scottish curriculum. So that's an ebook where you can just click in, browse through all the different types of activities, the types of themes that we've mapped the lessons to, and kind of grab something off the shelf. They come with handouts, video tutorials, everything you need to get started. We've also got our ACE community, our Adobe Creative Educator community. So here's where you can sign up for that. So we've got our ACE trainings. If you want a book in for additional virtual trainings after school, then come along there. But we've also got our innovator and leader community. So if you're the person that's responsible for kind of helping other staff members in your school to upskill and to use digital skills across the curriculum, then the ACE Leader program would be a great fit for you, which again is where we send you kind of training materials. It's all for free, stuff that you can use when you're asked to lead some training in your school. Okay, so that's the only kind of link that I'd want you to take away from today, is this one-stop shop page where all of our stuff is all there. All right, let's jump over to Express itself then. So here we are. We're on the Adobe Express homepage. And if you have never seen Express before and you don't know anything about it, it works through the browser. So obviously if you're logging into Glow on your browser, so most schools use either Chrome or Edge as their browsers. And then once you click on the Express tile, brings you in, it's on your Launchpad, brings you to the home page, and you just use Express on the browser. There's nothing to download, nothing to install, which of course is a game changer if you then want your students to have the opportunity to continue with their digital learning and use those skills outside the classroom for homework, to complete work independently, etc. If you use iPads in your school, there's a free iPad app, just called Adobe Express. It's in the App Store. And again, you and your learners just sign in with your Glow account to use it. And it's almost an identical experience to what I'll be showing you on the browser this afternoon. If you do have any questions at all, please feel free to put them in the chat. I have got one eye on it, and Ruth will always keep me in line and shout at me as well. So anything at all. Otherwise, we'll just go through it. Okay, so first things first, if you've never used Express before, what could it do? So it has got a lot of stuff in the box, okay? So if I scroll through here, you'll see creating a poster. So if you do any kind of graphic design stuff, infographics, posters, pamphlets, all of that stuff, then Express is a great way to do all of that. And we'll be looking at that first of all this afternoon. It's also an amazing online video editor. So if you want to do any kind of video projects with your kids, including filming themselves, removing video backgrounds, animating characters, doing voiceovers, all that kind of stuff is really nice to do in Express on this tab. We've got our guided activities, which are basically self-contained lessons with video guides, which walk your learners through what they need to do to complete the activity. We've got our amazing animate character feature. You can build web pages and digital portfolios, presentations. It's got an absolutely beautiful drawing app, which we absolutely love using. And then you can do really useful things like generating QR codes and so on. Right, so if you're starting from scratch, though, I would say that a great place to get started is with some graphic design. So let's click on the big pink card that says create a poster. Okay, and this launches us into Adobe Express. And if you've never been here before, hopefully you're looking at it and you're thinking, well, this doesn't look too scary. This is all, kind of normal looking stuff. We've got our empty canvas here. Down the left-hand side, we've got things that we can add to the page. And you can see on the left-hand side, today we're going to be mainly concentrating on just two buttons. Your page, is that your home page, Tracy, that looks different? The actual home page with the colored tiles, or this page here, the editor? If it's the home page itself, then I think what that means is that you're not logged in through the Glow, the home page. Yeah, right. So, Ruth, are you going to jump in there? Because what is that? We've seen that.
Yeah, can I just
sharing so that you don't have the echo, and just talk us through that, Ruth.
Yeah, so what you'll need to do is log in through your Launchpad on Adobe Express through Glow, and then it will bring you onto the educational account, and this is the same as what the students will do as well. So at the top, it will say Adobe Express for Education. You did go in that way. Let me check that out for you. I'm not sure why that should be happening. Does it? I take it doesn't say Adobe Express for Education at the top. It just says Adobe Express. So you're not on the educational license.
Yeah, I'll just
Renfrewshire Council.
Yeah, I'll just share my screen without audio, just to show the two different. Okay.
It says they only if it might be because there's updates going on all of the time. So if it does say Adobe Express for Education, it could possibly be that they always do it on a Monday afternoon when the US is in, when things are changing. So that might be the reason for it looking slightly different as well.
We can work around that. So this, if you're seeing this view and it doesn't, up in the top left hand corner, it doesn't say Adobe Express for Education, then that is a login thing that you need to make sure that you've logged in through Glow and clicked on the Launchpad, because this is kind of the personal enterprise version of it. Okay, so so I'll just close that. But if you are seeing this view, and it should say across the top, there we go, Adobe Express for Education. But that the middle of it doesn't look the same as mine, then yeah, I think that that there's some kind of update going on today. But that's absolutely fine because you still have the blue dot in the top left-hand corner, right? So we can go through the blue dot. So no dramas. We'll use the blue dot. Okay. So as long as it says Adobe Express for Education at the top, this bit in the middle, don't worry about that because I did actually see on Slack this morning that they're doing some engineering work on the home page. So it's very likely that. So let's click on the big blue dot in the top left-hand corner, and it'll give you this Get Started window, okay? And in there, let's just go for a poster, okay? If you don't see poster, you could go for portrait as well. It's going to give you the same thing, but just click on poster, and that's going to drop us in there. Okay, if you're not getting the education version and you want to carry on, you could just use that version that you've got and click on the blue dot and the plus, because once we're in here, everything's pretty much the same. The difference between those versions is the education version actually has more features, and it also has the educational filtering in place so that inappropriate images don't appear and are generated and that kind of stuff. But if you are in a different version of Express because of some kind of login gremlin this afternoon, then you could definitely just follow along by going to the blue dot, top left-hand corner, click on the plus, and grabbing a poster. All right, okay.
Sorry, the other option is, see up at the top right-hand corner, you'll see the little account there, and it should, if you press account, and then it should come up the two different accounts, and try clicking on the other one, and that might work as well.
All right, so there's a place there for these guys to switch their accounts around as well.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right. Okay. Top tips from Ruth there. Brilliant. Okay. Right. Okie dokie. So, my class has been learning about life under the sea, and they've all had to research a different creature that lives under the sea, and I want them to share kind of the most interesting facts about that animal, that marine animal, with me on a simple infographic. It's a really nice way to bring learning together, get them to kind of crystallize some of their learnings, some of the things that have stuck out to them. Maybe we've been learning about under the sea for the last 3 or 4 lessons, and now I want them to kind of tie it all together and present something. So we're going to be working on a simple infographic from scratch. Okay. Now, if you'd like to play along with that, I've got this this kind of example doc. It's just an example of maybe some research work that a student would have done. So if you want to grab this doc, the link to it is at the top of it there, which is adobe.ly/shark. Okay, just simply that. I'm sure Ruth will pop it in the chat for us now. And, you know, this could obviously, we can imagine this could have been handwritten in my class's exercise books. Maybe they've chosen their favorite marine animal and I've asked them to find, you know, 10 facts, 10 interesting facts, something like that. Now, what are we going to do with this? How can we get them to present this in an interesting way? All right, so back on Express. The first thing I'm going to do is set the mood with a background. So to set a background for my canvas, we're going to go to the left-hand side. And for this whole activity, we're only going to use these 2 buttons on the left-hand side, which are add content and text. Okay, add content and text. Now, there's lots of other buttons here, like upload, your stuff, brands, etc. And then there's some stuff across the top as well, like color themes, animation, background color margins, and that kind of stuff. But we're not going to do any of that at all. We're just going to use these 2 buttons, add content and text. So we're going to start off by adding a background. So that's, as you've guessed it, under the add content menu. So I'm going to click on that, and backgrounds are going to come under elements. You can see here it kind of says there, look, backgrounds. Okay. So we're going to go add content and elements. And it's going to open up this side panel. And you can see in the elements we've got, it's an absolute treasure trove of load assets of these kind of pre-cut out graphics and textures that you can kind of drop onto your projects. Thousands and thousands of different things for you to use there, all totally for free. If we scroll over at the top, you've got backgrounds, which is what we're going to use right now. just to let you know, what else is up there is your standard shapes. So if you wanted, you know, the normal stuff you can do with this kind of software, like rectangles, circles, clouds, all that kind of stuff. Icons, if you're a clip art aficionado, then your single color clip art icons are all in there, and they can be set to whichever color you want. And then finally, we've also got animated GIFs in there, which are super fun. But as I said, we're going to start off with backgrounds. So I'm going to click on backgrounds. And here we are searching the entire Adobe stock library. So that is literally millions and millions of images, graphic design assets, video clips, audio clips, background music that you can use totally for free, all filtered for educational use. So let's just search in there for something like ocean. Now remember, this isn't searching for photos of ocean or images of ocean. This is specifically looking for backgrounds. And as you can see, we've got 1,634 ocean backgrounds. And what I like about backgrounds is as you click on them, you'll see it'll fill your canvas with that background, but you can just keep clicking through and it's just kind of auditioning all of these different options that you could use as a background for your design. That's a really nice one. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to commit to one pretty soon because I do like to dither on this. Here we go. Maybe this one. I like that. Great. That has absolutely set the mood for my great white shark infographic. So the next thing I'd like is maybe a photograph of a shark. So you've probably guessed where we're going to go to get this. This time we're going to go to the add content button on the left, as we did to get our background. But this time we're going to go to media. Okay, so elements is for design assets, background, shapes, icons, and stickers. But this time I want a photo of a shark. So I'm going to go to media and click on photos. Okay, now in here, once again, we can choose between photos, videos, and audio. So that's sound effects and background music. But I want a photo. So I'm going to click on photo and I'm going to search in there for shark. Okay, 957 results for shark. So I can scroll through and choose which one I like. So if you're familiar with doing this kind of activity with your class, maybe normally you'd be sending them back and forth to something like Google Images to find photos, copy and paste them over to whichever app you're using to put this design together. Now, that's obviously problematic in so grabbing stuff from Google Images, obviously, you'd want that to lead on to a discussion around copyright, because obviously you're allowed to grab stuff off the internet and use it for educational purposes. But we'd also want to be teaching our classes that, you know, when they're adults, they're not really allowed to go and grab whatever you want from Google Images and use it. So there's the whole copyright conversation. So obviously you avoid that by using the stuff that's cleared, free for you to use, copyright free for you to use within Express. The second one is that obviously you'll come across some inappropriate stuff in Google Images, and you know that there's no avoiding that. Sometimes that's a part of using digital skills online, but it definitely does derail your lesson because you need to then address it and discuss it and why did this happen and what should we do with that case. And really, we don't always want to be addressing that kind of thing. So again, this media library in Express is filtered for educational use, so you know that the stuff that's going to pop up is appropriate. And the third thing is, and this was the one that was most common when I was working in school, was just that kids would copy and paste something in that wasn't very good quality. That was really pixelated, low quality. They'd set their heart on it. They would not swap it for something else. Absolutely not. And then their designs would never end up looking that great because obviously the source material was low quality. So we avoid all of those by sticking to the media browser on the left-hand side here. And as you can see, it's a way faster way of working as well. Right, I love this picture of a shark. However, I'd like it to look as if it's in the ocean that's my background rather than this kind of, you know, big old rectangle that's around it of the ocean with some scary looking other sharks in the background. So let's use the background removal tool in Express. So that's over here on the left-hand side. So you can see whenever I've got an image selected, I'll see these options over on the left. So if I click on background Barbara, here she is. If I give her a click, then background Barbara is going to identify what's the foreground, what's the background. Wow, and there it is. It's going to get rid of it. And you know that was not an easy image to remove the background from, being as the shark is pretty blue and the background is pretty blue. But it's done an amazing job. It's snipped it out amazingly. Right, great. Now then, next we've used the add content button twice. Where's my mouse pointer? Here it is. We've used the add content button twice. We've been to media, we've been to elements. So let's use the next button down, which is text. Let's get a big old title in there. Okay, let's click on T for text. And in here, I'm going to click on the blue button that says add your text. So when I click on that, it's going to just give me a standard text box. Now in here, I'm going to type in my title, the Great White Shark. All right. Now, Express is always looking at what you're adding to your page, and it's going to make smart selections. So, for example, it'll start making smart selections of design assets you could add, images you could add, backgrounds you could swap this out for, but it's also going to recommend fonts. So it knows that I'm doing something about sharks and the ocean. So if I click here on View All for recommended fonts, it's probably going to give me something quite sharky. Oh, there we go. Look at that third one there. That is a pretty sharky looking font, I think. So I'm going to click on that. That's perfect for my title, The Great White Shark. Brilliant. Now, I can back out of the recommended fonts by clicking on this back arrow here. And, you know, this view then is something that's familiar to us all. Whichever apps you've ever used in your life, you know that this is a font drop down if you want to scroll through fonts. You've got your regular bold, italic, underline, text alignment, left, center, right, justified. You can specifically choose font sizes there. And then you've got things like bullet points, and you've got line spacing and letter spacing, paragraph spacing in the More menu there. And change the color of your text by clicking on this box. Set a color from one of these default colors, or you can even go to custom and mix your own color in there. Okay, so let's change my text to white. And I'm going to make it bigger, but I can't be bothered with the plus and the minus and the font size thing over here. So I'm just going to grab my text box by the corner. And you can see I can resize just by using any of the corners. I'd like to push it onto two lines. I want the great and then white shark underneath it. So what I'm going to do is use the long handle on the side of my bounding box, which, let me just zoom in for you, is here. And as I grab this, you see, and push it across these long handles, you see, we can change the line breaks for our text. There we go. Well, that looks great. So I'm just pop that up there. Maybe I'd like it to be centered. So we've already spoken about that. Over here on the left, I can click to change the alignment. There we go. Now, my white text looks good over this dark blue. It's not as clear over this light blue. So how about adding an outline to my text? Well, that's really easily done as well. Over here where we set the text color itself, we've also got this outline color box. So we can choose that. Choose a color. Maybe I'll go for a dark blue. There we go. And then next to it, we can actually change the thickness of that outline as well. Go all the way, I think. There we go. Right. Wonderful. Okie dokie. Well, I have got a lot of facts about the great white shark here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But maybe I've asked my class, I want you to give me the 5 most interesting things about the animal that you've been studying. The 5 most interesting things about the animal that you've been studying. So normally, you know, traditionally, you'd be thinking, right, how am I going to contain all those little facts? Maybe you'd say, oh, I'd usually put that in a box. You could go into shapes and search for boxes or circles or ovals or that kind of thing. But I think here's where the design assets really kind of come to the fore. So let's go back to the design assets. So if you remember, the design assets are under add content, elements here. All right. Now you can see that it's already, look, we're on backgrounds and it's suggesting me some backgrounds, but I'm happy with my background, so I'm gonna leave that alone. Let's go to design assets at the top, click on that. And here we go, look, it's suggesting me now some design assets based on what I've got so far in the files. That's really cool. And you can click on view more and you'll get even more suggestions. But I've got this idea that I'd like a fact to be in a bubble, in a kind of a water bubble, an air bubble underwater then. So let's search in the design assets for the word bubble. And 3,000 results there. Wow. Right. So we can scroll through. There's some amazing looking bubbles in here. So I just want maybe just a single bubble. There's lots of them that'll work. I like all of these. I like them all. Let's just grab one of these. Okay, there we go. So I've got a bubble in. Now, you'll notice this is a really cool thing about design assets, that some of them, like this one, will have transparency built in. So look how cool that is, that we can kind of look at our shark and even our text through a bubble. Okay. Now, obviously, if we brought in a photo of a bubble and used background Barbara to remove the background, then it would do a great job of cutting the circle out, but then the middle of the bubble wouldn't be see-through like this. All right, so I've got 5 facts I want to share about the great white shark. So let's get 5 bubbles. Well, I'm not going to get 5 individual bubbles from the design assets. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this one. I'm going to duplicate this one a few times. So to duplicate it, we've got our 3 dots more menu above anything you select. This 3 dots here. Okay, so just give that a click and duplicate. There we go. And I got another one. You could use a keyboard shortcut here as well, which is Control D. There we go. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bubbles. Now, I'd like them to look more unique. They do at the moment look like 5 clones of the same bubble. So things we can do to make them look unique. Well, I think the easiest thing you can do to make them look different is change the size. So we could make, this one could be big. You know, this one could be smaller. There we go. This one could be kind of middlish. There we go. So that's definitely helped. But I think these 3 are still looking a bit similar. So another thing we could do is just use the easy rotate tool, just to maybe spin one of them around. That definitely helps make it look more unique. You've also got things like Photoshop filters. So from Photoshop, Adobe's professional photo editing app, over here on the left-hand side, you'll see there's a tab called Effects. So if I tap on Effects, we've got these Photoshop filters brought in from Photoshop. So there's plenty of options there for you, but you could click on View All and see even more if you wanted to. So now maybe I could just add some Photoshop filters to, here we go, just to these different bubbles. There we go. And now they all look very unique. There we go. Lovely. Right. Well, let's get some of my facts in. Keep tweaking. I think my shark could be a bit bigger. There we go. So let's get my facts in about the great white shark. Now then, let's go over to my research doc. And what's my first super interesting fact about the great white shark? Well, I think this is interesting, that it has a top speed of 35 miles per hour. So I'm going to highlight that. I'm just going to click copy text just to copy it. And then back I go to Express. And let's get a new text box by clicking on T for text. Same process as we used to make our header. T for text, add your text, the blue button at the top. And I'm going to paste that in. You could use Control V on your keyboard, or you could use the 3 dots menu and paste. Okay, great. Now, as much as I like this font that I used for the title, I don't think it's going to be great as for all of my facts. I think it's a bit too messy. So let's go and find a cleaner font for this, I think. So let's go for something like the recommended fonts. Again, I mean, these standout headings work nice. Maybe one of these sans serif ones. Oh, I like this one. I like that one. Yeah, I'll grab that, I think. Great. Okay, back out we go. Now then, let's add an outline to the text. We know how to do this. So I've got black text. Let's add maybe a white outline. Thickness all the way up. Yeah, that definitely helps it to stand out. Maybe I want to center align it. There we go. And now let's just use the corner handles to just resize it. And I'm going to put this in the smallest bubble I've got because this is probably my shortest fact. Okay, that's looking great. Now, that took me quite a while to set up the font, set up the outline color, set up the alignment. So, I don't want to be doing that every time. No chance. So what we're going to do is recycle all of that hard work. So I'm simply going to duplicate this text box in the same way we did with our bubbles. So we could also use Control D. I'm just going to pop that into each one of our bubbles like this. And that's all I got to do now is go back and forth to my research doc. This is fascinating. It's a great white shark. It's got 300 teeth in 5 rows. Okay, now that's quite a short fact, so maybe we'll put that in our next smallest bubble. Just paste it in. You can see it inherits the font size, it inherits the outline, the font itself, the alignment, all of that stuff that I worked hard to do. So this is a long fact, places where it can be found. Which is also a list maybe of where I'm going to avoid if I ever go swimming in the sea. So let's put this in the biggest bubble we've got, because this is the longest fact we've got. Paste it in, 3 dots and paste. There we go. Now, what I want to do here is, it obviously doesn't fit very well, but I don't want to change the font size. What I want to do is change the actual line break. So I'm not going to touch the corner handles, because the corner handles are going to actually make my font bigger or smaller. I'm going to grab this long corner handle, side handle, and that just changes the actual shape of my text box, pushing the lines around so that it fits best into the place that I've got for it. Lovely. Well, it's going really well. Scientific name. I love a bit of scientific name. Okay, copy the text. Let's pop that in here. There we go. So this is maybe the opposite way around to how you would traditionally get your learners to make an infographic like this. I mean, traditionally, maybe you would get them to start off with the text. You'd be doing this bit that I've just done last. You do that first. And then, so you get them to put in all of their facts. Then you'd get them to add a title. And then you'd say, all right, now then, fill in some gaps on your page with some images. And right at the end, before printing, you'd think, oh, it looks a bit plain. Let's whack a background in. Now, the problem with that is that obviously, maybe that background isn't going to work well with the text at all. So actually, doing it totally the other way around, it does make you think more about your design and the visibility, the readability of it all the way along the process. So by starting with your background, you actually set the mood for your document. And then bringing in kind of your hero image, your big important image, make sure that that doesn't end up being just squeezed in somewhere later on. Then we do some. Then we bring in the title, because obviously titles are really important for infographics. And then the next thing I did, if you remember, was just start thinking about how I'm going to split my page up to hold all of my facts. I still didn't bring in my facts. I used those bubbles as a way of splitting the page up so that I had a space for all of my facts. And then right at the end, I brought in my text for the facts that I was sharing. It's the same skills that we'd have done in the kind of traditional workflow of starting with the fact and then doing the design later, but you will always end up with a better result, a more satisfying result when you do it the other way around, like I've just shown you there. Because as you're adding text, you're immediately thinking about, can I read this? Is this visible? Can I read this against what it's behind, in front of? All right, cool. So Express is saving all the time. So maybe some of you have been absolutely stressing out during this demo, thinking, for goodness sakes, man, save your work, because what happens if your internet crashes? And I haven't saved it, but Express is always saving everything you do all the time, even if you haven't named it. Look, I haven't even named my project. It's just called this, untitled. If my Chromebook runs out of battery, or the internet dips, or my neighbor thinks it's hilarious to switch my computer off halfway through the lesson, I'm not going to lose anything. When I then log into Express again, it could be on the same device, could be on a different device, then this file is going to be there waiting for me exactly as it was left when whatever happened. You can rename your files just by clicking up here and typing in a file name in there and hitting enter. Now, sharing out of Express is also really easy. So if you want to print it out, you've got the download button up here on the top right of your window. So if you click on download, you can download as a PDF if you know you're printing. PNGs, JPEGs are quite small graphic files as well. You've also got some really nice options. If it depends on your class. Some classes are really good at downloading images, dragging them into folders, but then some classes that'll take longer than the actual making of the infographic. I've definitely had my share of classes that aren't very good at kind of managing files. So if you want to avoid downloading and dragging or any of that kind of stuff, then you've also got some neat options under share. So you can obviously share directly to Google Classroom or Teams if you're using those, or you can share a view-only link. So this basically just kind of publishes this publicly, and then anybody that's got the link is able to see this finished infographic published. So, you could just get your learners to click create a link, and that's going to publish it. It's going to give us a URL. It'll be ready in a few seconds at the bottom of this little pop-up window. There we go. And you can see there that your learners can then, zooming in weirdly. You can copy that link and share it with you in whatever way. So maybe if you're using whatever you're using, if you're using Just Too Easy to manage files in your classroom, then they could just paste it onto a shared doc, or obviously in Just Too Easy you can view everything they've made anyway. Or if you're using things like Seesaw, you can share work in that way as well. So whatever way you kind of get stuff from your kids digitally, then getting them to just copy a link and give it to you is a really easy way of doing that, rather than maybe dragging files around. Okie dokie. Right. So that's us starting from scratch, from a blank page, building an infographic. And if you are thinking like, what shall I do tomorrow? Okay. Well, whatever topic you're doing right now in class, you could do this tomorrow just by going into the add content, grabbing a background, going into media, find a photo, and then bring in the title, finding a cool way to split your page up, and then bringing in your facts. Okay, you can apply these exact skills to whatever you're doing in class right now. All right. Well, what if you're doing something though that doesn't exist, right? What if you're learning about, I don't know, like myths and legends at the moment, okay? Which would be a super cool thing to learn about. So maybe you're learning about Scottish myths and legends. So you want a photo of the Loch Ness Monster or of a Kelpie, okay? So if I go into add content, media, and I search in photos for Loch Ness Monster, then, not surprisingly, I'm not going to get a photo of the Loch Ness Monster because, she's quite camera shy, right? So there are no photos of the Loch Ness Monster. In the same way, if I wanted a photo of a Kelpie, it would help if I started with a K. Kelpie. If I wanted a photo of a Kelpie, that is not a shape-shifting water horse. That is a dog. So no good, right? So what can we do? Well, this is where the AI image generation in Express really shows off what it can do. Okay, so let's leave the great white shark for now, and let's have a look at some myths and legends. To go back to the Adobe Express homepage at any point, you can just click on the colorful A, top left-hand corner. And here we go. We're back on the homepage. Now, I'm aware that maybe some of you still aren't seeing this homepage layout, so I won't use this generate an image tile that we've got here. I'll go back and let's do a landscape. Let's do a landscape project this time. Okay. So let's go to the blue dot, top left-hand corner. Blue dot, top left-hand. Hey, Mr. Zoom, are you going to work? There we go. Blue dot, top left-hand corner. And this time, let's get a piece of landscape paper. So let's grab landscape, and here we go. Now then, so the Kelpies are shape-shifting, mythical, kind of water horses. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's my understanding of them. So let's get a background. So add content, elements. So we could search just for something like Scotland. We're going to get, what are we going to get? Here we go. We get some backgrounds. We get some tartan in there. Lovely. Yes. Or, maybe I want it to be more kind of mythical forest, something like that, maybe better than some tartan. Let's just go for forest. There we go. 3,000 forests. Let's go for, I don't know, something like magical forest. here we go. So it's great, you know, when you're teaching your kids how to do searches, 3,000 results for forest, 38 results for magical forest. So, you know, teaching them that adding more search criteria is going to give you a better experience. Right. Again, we can click on any of those. It's going to apply it to your whole project. There are some very cool things going on here. I'm going to go with this one, I think. Unless something else grabs me super quick, I think I'm going to stick with that. Yes, I am. Right, good. So now then, I want a photo of a Kelpie. Well, it doesn't exist. I mean, the Kelpie does obviously exist, but photos of them don't exist. So let's go to add content and media, where we'd normally go searching for photos. And we've already searched for it. We couldn't find a photo of a Kelpie. So let's use this gray button that says generate image. Okay, so because I'm generating it, I'm creating this image from scratch, you can actually decide what shape the image is going to be in. So I'll go with square. I think that's going to work quite nicely. I'll go with square. Now, here's where my image will end up, in this square. So you can already, before you even create it, you can start kind of moving stuff around, pop it into its place. Right, and now we can, up here, start typing our prompt. So, a magical horse made of water, leaping from a Scottish, I'm going to say lake, just in case it doesn't know what a loch is. Leaping from a Scottish lake, night. It's night. What else do I want to see? Anyone got any suggestions? Pop it in the chat. What do we want to put in this? We got a magical horse made of water, leaping from a Scottish lake, night. You can put something ridiculous if you want. I'm open to crazy stuff. Anybody want to see anything specific in here? Or you can just try it yourself, obviously. Ruth, anything? What do you want this Kelpie to be doing?
Oh,
fell off a chair there. She was having a cup of tea and a biscuit there now, and she was like, "Oh, he wants me to do something."
well, if it's Scottish, then you can say wearing a kilt.
Where? Oh dear me. All right, okay. All right. Anybody else? Anything else? No. All right. A magical horse made of water, wearing a kilt. Thanks, Ruth. I was thinking this was going to look lovely. Now it's just going to look crazy. Right. Wearing a kilt. All right. Leaping from a Scottish lake. Night. Okay. Brilliant. That is absolutely bonkers. Right. Now then, further down, you can also choose from different artistic styles. So you could say things like, if we go to movements, you see we've got things like, I'd like it to look like something from a fantasy novel, like kind of Lord of the Rings-esque. You do that. What else have we got here? Themes, so kind of different types of themes here. Different art techniques. This is cool. So you could say, I want it to look like it's been made like a watercolor. I love a watercolor. Let's do that. So I want it to be a selected fantasy watercolor, and that's my prompt. Let's click generate, and it's going to give me 4 results. Now, just some chat about this whilst we're waiting. It won't take too long. But AI obviously raises questions. So one of the first questions around AI is the ethics of AI image. Oh, wow, look at those. Ooh, now then. I like it's wearing a kilt under the saddle. It's kind of dealt with your crazy prompt pretty well there, Ruth. I don't think it looks enough as if it's actually made out of water. So I'm going to go back up and see if I can kind of change my prompt. A magical horse. Let's try this. Skin made of water. Okay, let's just change our prompt. Okay, other than that, I'm not sure now about the watercolor thing. Looks a bit silly, actually. It looks. I want to look more mystical. It looks a bit like a kind of picture book, doesn't it? So, I'm just going to leave it on fantasy. Okay, and hit generate. Let's try it again. Yeah, so what was I saying? I was saying that, oh yeah, the ethics around AI. So obviously, a lot of image generators, AI image generation, they teach their models by scraping, now we're talking, by scraping images off the internet and kind of training, wow, yes, that's the boy, that one there. I love that. Outstanding. Right. So they train their AI models by basically scraping the whole internet. So that's obviously stealing artists and photographers' IP. So their kind of art styles and their copyrighted images. So Express is the only tool that will generate images, but it'll only generate images by learning from the photos that we've got in the Adobe stock library. So it's totally licensed. It hasn't stolen any copyright to do that at all. It's learned how to produce this image by looking at the stuff that we've got. So it's a really good way for you to have a discussion around the ethics of AI. That every artist that has contributed to making that brand new image that I've just generated has been paid through the Adobe stock program. Also, you might be worried about generating inappropriate images. Well, the education version of Express for Education has got quite aggressive filtering in place as well to block prompts and inappropriate images from being generated. The third thing that people are concerned with AI is that obviously every time we use AI, a computer somewhere in the world is going to spin really fast and think really hard about it, which generates a lot of heat and uses a lot of electricity. So there's obviously the environmental concerns around AI as well. And that's why we've introduced the credit system. So your students will have generative credits, 250 credits per month. Now, as Ruth said, I use Adobe Express kind of 5 hours a day, every day, and I've never hit zero. So it's actually a lot of credits. But it's just Adobe's way of putting that in your students' minds that they've got a limited amount of something and to use it sensibly. Actually, not that I've never experienced it, but we have asked what happens when you hit zero. And when you do hit zero, it still doesn't actually stop your users from using generative AI. It just slows it down for them so that they know that, hey, you've hit your zero. This is going to take longer now because you've used up all your credits. So it won't actually block them from the tool, but it's just Adobe's way of making us think more about, do we need to be generating again? Do we need to be generating again? All right, cool. So there's my Kelpie. Looks amazing. So I can now treat this like any other photograph. So I could remove the background. I can do things like cropping it. Let's crop it into a circle. So I can tap on the crop icon on top of the image here. Give that a click. And we can do things like cropping it to a shape. Lovely. I like how that's cropped to that circle. If I'm happy with it, I can just click away. And that is cropped. That looks super cool. Let's get a kind of frame around that. Let's get a really nice frame around my image. Well, do you remember where we got our bubbles from? So let's go to add content on the left. And let's click on elements because we're going to go into the design assets again. And I'm going to search in design assets for something like a round frame. Round frame. Just want a kind of a circular frame. Here we go. Something, kind of mystical. I got 1,300. Can I get something maybe round frame fantasy? Is that going to give me something? 22. Okay. Anything here? That one's cool. Like the cogs. Yeah. Or round frame water. What about that? Because they come out of, yes. Because they come out of the lakes and they're made of water. So I could go for maybe one of these. Yes. So design assets is like my favorite thing in Express. I absolutely love it because there's so many cool things in there that I didn't make, but when I add them to my project, immediately just make it look amazing, basically. Amazing. Right, now then, let's get a title in there, and let's use AI in a different way this time. So I'm going to click on T for text, same way as we did when we were adding our Great White Shark title earlier. Let's go add your text. Okay, and let's put in here the Kelpie. All right, so let's pop that up here as a title. I'm going to change the font to white for a minute, but it's not going to stay white for long. I'll show you why in a bit. I'm going to add an outline. So let's go custom. Let's grab maybe like this kind of greeny blue. And let's go darker with that. Lovely, like that. And let's bring up the font size. Great. Now then, recommended fonts. I want something kind of mysterious. You see that it's recommending me different fonts now. I want some kind of, kind of ancient kind of looking. Not sure on those, so I'm going to go into the standard. Let's get my font wellies on, and let's go scrolling. And I'm just going to go through. So you can see that Express includes loads of amazing fonts. Plenty of choices there for you. Okay. Now then, I am totally aware of the gigantic character flaw that I have, which is that I will spend way too long looking at fonts. So I'm just going to go with one for now and stick with it. Right. Now, we can use AI to actually generate your own custom font textures as well, which is a super cool thing to do with titles like this. So to do that, that's all we need to go is, with our text selected over on the left-hand side, is to move over to the Effects tab. All right, and in here you can see we've got Generate Text Effects. So you can click on the little pencil there. You can use one of these preset ideas, but you can click on the pencil, and in here, we could type a texture in. So I want this to be mystical water with glowing golden lights. Yeah, that'll do me. Okay, mystical water with glowing golden lights. Now then, what other options have we got? Well, you can do things like, I want it to be loose, which means that it'll generate stuff which also kind of has embellishments outside of the normal shape of the letters. You can do things like style. You can pick from styles. You can also just type the style in there. You can put a tint on it, but I'm done. Mystical water with glowing golden lights. Fine. That's it. That's fine. I'll put in here maybe fantasy style, just in case it hasn't worked that out. And then generate. Okay, so now it's gonna work on 4 brand new font textures for me, which is really cool. That you can use AI to not just generate images. Ah, wow! I love those. Not just generate images, you can actually generate kind of custom fonts and font textures as well. Oof.
Meredith,
Yes.
someone has asked, where do you go to create the text effects?
Yeah, no worries. So when you've got a text box like this one here, okay, so you just go on the left-hand side. You can see that the first tab is the normal edit tab, where you've got just choosing your fonts, choosing your font colors, etc. But then the next one along is effects. Okay, and you'll see this when your text is selected. If I click on an image, then it's obviously going to give me the image editing options. But if I click on a text box, then now this left-hand panel is showing me the things I can do with text. And under the second one, effects, but generate text effects. And to create your own one, you just click on this pencil icon here. Click on the pencil icon, and there we go. You describe your texture in there. Well, I love that. I love that I've got there. That is amazing. So I think that my outline is too dark now. That it used to be white text with a dark outline. I think I need to go back out, so I can just back out here, go back to the edit menu. I can change my outline color to, yeah, something paler. I think something like that. That works really nicely. And then, of course, you could just add in your facts, your information about the Kelpie into another text box here. And what an incredible way to kind of share something about, the myths and legends from Scotland, and maybe from the from where you're from specifically. Let us know what specific myths and legends have you got in your area. Have you got something? Is this something that you study? I love learning about this stuff. Anyway, right. So now let's move that on. Is this an hour, Ruth, or it's down as an hour and a quarter?
Yeah, it's an hour and a quarter.
Nice. I like that. What a random amount of time. I love it. Right. Okay. So let's move this on. Now, maybe your learners have, shared their information about the Kelpie. So maybe just the Kelpie. I'm not a Kelpie expert, okay? So I'm going to be pretty superficial here. The Kelpie is a shape-shifting horse that lives in Scottish loch. That's all I got, guys. That is all I got. Okay, so how can we get our learners to kind of present this information in another way? Well, you could start off with a graphic project like this and then decide, hey, why don't we turn this into a video project? Why don't we turn this into a video project? Okay, so what I can do, let's name it. Let's name it because I feel this is a good one. It deserves a name. Kelpie project. All right, so what I want to do is keep this still one as it is, because I'm going to turn this into a video. But I don't want to ruin this because I might want to print this out as well. So what I want to do is kind of keep this as a snapshot of my kind of poster, my infographic on the Kelpie, and then I'm going to have another version of it where I'm going to turn it into a video. So to do that, it's really easy. Down on the bottom right-hand corner, you've got this 3 dots menu. And under that 3 dots, you've got duplicate. So if I click on duplicate, now we can see that we've got page 1 and page 2. Okay? So page 1, I'm going to leave as it is. I'm going to even call it maybe infographic. Infographic. You see, I just labeled it up here on the top, infographic. And my page 2 is going to be my video. All right. Now then, what I'm going to do now, guys, is stop sharing my screen because we're going to need some sound. So let's just go out, stop sharing my screen. If anybody's got any questions, now is a great time. If you've got any questions about what we've done so far, I'll just share my screen again, and this time we're gonna have the audio on. Sorry, Ruth, if you're gonna pipe up, we're gonna have some fierce echo going on now. All right, here we go. Share. Right, so you should be now getting my sound as well. Okie dokie. Now, I've got my page 1, I've got my page 2. Cool. Page 2 is gonna be the video. Well, if this is a video, then why don't we get something moving on here right now? Okay, so this background of the forest, let's click on it. Now, if you find it difficult to click on it because there's lots of stuff in front of it, you can always use the layer stack that's over here on the right-hand side. Okay, you can see your layer stack here, and you can just click on your background. And I want to replace it with something else, with a video. So down here, you can see underneath my background, I've got this little pop-up menu that says replace. So I'm going to give that a tap. And it's going to ask me, right, what do you want to replace this background with? Well, I'd like to replace it with a video, please. So let's click on videos. Now then, over on the left-hand side, we've got our media panel open, and it's saying videos. So let's search videos for something like dark forest. Okay, cool. Oh, there's some very nice stuff in here. I want one that definitely shows some movement. You know, some of these are very still. This one here is not very obvious as a video. This one's the same. It's quite still. So this is a good one. Look, it's kind of spinning around a tree. I like that. And as you hover your mouse pointer over it, ooh, that's kind of very Blair Witch Project. I'll avoid that for the rest of my life. As you hover, oh, this is very kind of Scottish loch, not a forest at all. It's a good option though. Yeah, I want some nice movement in it. That's nice, look. I like that. I do like that. Okay. Oh, hello, Northern Lights. Northern Lights wins for me. Right, so I'm going to click on that, and it's going to replace that background image with a video. And now we are working with a video project. And you can see we are in the same editor. We're using the same app. So if you want to teach your classes how to edit their own videos, well, by teaching them to make just simple infographics like we've done so far in this session, you're actually giving them nearly all of the tools. The only thing they need to understand then is the concept of the timeline, which you got down here. Okay, so let's click play. Yeah, wow, I love that. Northern Lights look amazing. That is super cool. Right, so what else are we going to add in here? Well, let's add in me talking about the Kelpie. Okay, let's get me in there talking about the Kelpie. So on Express, we can easily record yourself, film yourself directly into your project. Okay, so as long as your device has got a camera on it, we can go to the left-hand side where it says add content. Okay, and then we're going to go to media, right, where we'd be searching for videos. But instead of searching for a video, I want to record myself, this gray button here. It says give that a tap. And here we go. Here's my camera. All right, there we go. Oh, my camera's doing that. Sorry. Let me switch that crazy thing that it does off. What is that called? Center stage. Let's switch that off. Right, there we go. Right. Now then, let's go. So I want to teach my kids how to frame themselves when they're recording. How many times have you seen a video where, it's just like a forehead talking to the microphone, or, hello and welcome to my video. So, make sure that you frame yourself up so that your head isn't chopped off, that you're kind of in the middle of your frame. All right. And now I'm going to look at my camera, which is there, and I'm going to say something about the Kelpie. Okay. So here we go. Click start recording. It's going to count me down. Here we go. My favorite Scottish myth is the Kelpie, the shape-shifting horse that lives in lochs and comes out to scare us at night. All right, and then I click stop recording at the end. Now, if you're not happy with that, you can reset, you can go again, but I thought that was great, so I'm going to click on save recording, and that's going to pop my video straight onto my project. Now, if you are in a noisy classroom, which you are almost always going to be, we've got the enhance speech button over here on the left-hand side, which means that you can have literally every single member of your class all recording and making a racket at the same time. And when you click on that, Express is going to work out which voice, of all the voices it can hear, which one is nearest to the device. It'll keep that one and filter all of the others out. Okay, there we go. It is done. Okay, my video's taking a while to process, longer than usual. Let's see if I can hear it. Not yet, no. Okay, so again, Express being browser-based, sometimes if you think, well, this has been working for a while now, why hasn't it arrived? Then you can just give it a kick. Give your browser a restart. Okay, to restart your browser, refresh your browser. Okay, and there you go. Let's click on edit timeline. There I am there. Okay, so that was just some kind of internet gremlin happening there. So if something happens, you're like, oh, this isn't behaving itself, just restart. Why can't I zoom in on that? Hey. Okay, anyway, you know how to refresh your browser. It's up there. Right, so here's me. Let's see if I can hear myself. Turn the volume up. Here we go. My favorite Scottish myth is the Kelpie, the shape-shifting horse that lives in lochs and comes out to scare us at night. All right, cool. So now I'd like to get rid of my room from this. It's not very Kelpie vibes, is it? So we've got the remove background tool that you saw me use on the shark earlier actually works with video clips as well. Okay, You do need your video to have finished processing. And here we go. We've got background Barry now. Barry does video. Barbara does the photos. So background Barry, give him a click. Now, I haven't got a green screen. My background is pretty messy. That is not an easy background to be getting rid of. The black on my hoodie is blending in with the black on the piano. You know, that you wouldn't expect this to be able to remove that very easily, even if it was a photograph, let alone a video. But Barry is going to do a sterling job. I've got absolute faith in him. So let's see what he does. So he's going to work, and we can carry on working in the background whilst this is happening. So, for example, maybe I want my text to be kind of smaller now because I've got me saying this. Maybe I'll make my text smaller, bring it over here to the side, center it up, perhaps. There we go. Oh, Barry's done. How's he done? He has done amazing. Wow, that is incredible. Right, let's just frame me up like that. And let's have a look at my video now. So we've got the cool background video with the Northern Lights and me talking about the Kelpie.
My favourite Scottish myth is the Kelpie, the shape-shifting horse that lives in lochs and comes out to scare us at night.
Brilliant. Now, I then disappear, and then we've just got Northern Lights moving for a while. So here's where your learners are going to kind of start thinking about the concept of, you know, which piece of media decides on the length of this scene? Well, it's probably me, isn't it, with my introduction. So what I want to do then is trim my scene back to kind of match the length of my video. You can see there at the top, I just want it to be about there. There we go. Now, we've done that. Well, let's add another scene. Maybe we want a kind of title scene. Okay, so let's go to Add Media at the bottom, and let's add a blank scene. Cool. Now, I want this to be a title scene, so this should come first. So we can just grab our scenes and reorder them. So I want this blank scene to be first. And let's go into videos on the left. Let's search just for Scotland. There we go. Brilliant. Something nice and kind of, yes, brilliant. Here we go. And I'm going to add that as a layer to my canvas. Perfect. Let's get a title in there. Tell you what, let's copy that one that I made for the Kelpie because that is epic. So I'm just going to copy that. 3 dots, copy. Bring my timeline. You see what I'm doing to switch between scenes is move this black line from one scene to the other. So here we go. I'm on the other one. And let's paste that in. Right click, paste. There it is. And just change the text to Scottish myths and legends. Okay, cool. Because this is the text effects, it's still a text box. So I can still kind of go in there, change the text, change any typos that I've got. Lovely, lovely. That looks brilliant. So let's get some cool video on top of that. Actually, let's animate that text in so the text flies in. So let's go to animation on the left. And let's get that fading in, maybe. Yes, love that. Scottish myths and legends. Right, and let's put some kind of cool video effect on the top. So let's go back into add content. Let's go to media, search the videos again. Let's search, I don't know, what should we go for? What's something like clouds? Yes. Now then, what I'm going to do with these clouds is I'm going to totally hide my whole scene. Like, this guy's gone mad. Why is he doing that? Why is he hiding his whole scene for? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a blend mode, one of our professional blend modes on this so that I can see what's behind it through this. So let's go to edit on the left-hand side, and you can see we've got the opacity button. In there, we can do things like using the multiply blend mode or the screen blend mode. And you can see there that I've got my clouds in front of, or we can go to multiply, this is cool as well, the clouds in front of your text. Let's play it and see if my clouds kind of actually, oh yeah, look at those clouds going in front of the text. Super cool effect. It's pretty subtle here, to be honest. Right. Well, that maybe just needs a voiceover. How easy is it to add a voiceover on Express? Super easy. Add content on the left. media, and this time we're going to audio. I'm going to record a voiceover. Now, that enhanced speech, which will get rid of all of your background noise, is actually here on the way in if you want. Just make sure that's ticked, enhanced speech. And off we go, start recording. My name is Meredydd, and welcome to my video about Scottish myths and legends. There we go, and you can see there now down on the timeline, there's my audio clip that I've just recorded. So again, I'm just going to maybe trim back my first scene. So let's have a look at my whole video so far.
My name is Meredydd, and welcome to my video about Scottish myths and legends. My favourite Scottish myth is the Kelpie, the shape-shifting horse that lives in lochs and comes out to scare us at night.
Super cool. Super cool. All right. So you can easily duplicate a scene. So 3 dots, duplicate. Here we go. I got a copy of that scene. So on my new scene, I could get rid of me here. I could go Loch Ness Monster in there. Push it across. You would change maybe the image that's been generated in here. Okay, let's go just Loch Ness Monster in a Scottish lake. There we go. It's going to keep my fantasy selection there. See how quickly we can start reusing our skills and apply them in new scenes. Okay, so that's going to work. Wowzers. Okay, that is pretty terrifying. There we go. We'll go with that. And then instead of filming myself this time, the last thing I'm going to show you guys, because we've got 3 minutes left, is probably my favorite thing in Express, which is animate characters. So under add content, you've got media here. Okay, we've been here a lot today. Let's go to videos. And under videos, you'll see animate characters. And you've got access to over 250 different characters. So if I go for, let's go for something, what's going to look like? That's going to look like Nessie. It's going to look like a Loch Ness Monster. Creatures, maybe? Creatures, maybe. Or if I go for Zodiac, something new that looks a bit, yeah, why not? Something, here we go. Why not? Now then. Here we go. Enhanced speech on the way in. Record. Here we go. Without a doubt, Scotland's most favourite myth is that of the Loch Ness Monster that lurks in the depths of the deepest body of water in the whole of Great Britain. Here we go. Scraping my brain for facts there, guys. Right, what is it doing now? Well, first it's going to get rid of all of my classmates' noise. Then it's going to lip sync my voice to that character's mouth, which is awesome. Then it's going to listen to the inflections of my voice and animate that character's arms, eyes, facial expressions, all of that stuff. And because I didn't choose a background, I left the background as transparent there when I was choosing my character. It's then going to drop this straight onto my project. Okay, so you'll get some learners you get a lot of learners these days that don't like being on camera. So if you've got those learners that really don't like being filmed, but you feel like you want something a bit more than a voiceover, then this is incredible. Okay, we get stories all the time from teachers where they've got learners that don't engage with stuff. They absolutely aren't willing to be filmed or even recorded, but suddenly they've shown them this, and it's grabbed their attention and they love it. Okay, I think I'm going to run out of time before this is processed today. So I'm just going to quickly, I think, show you. So it would just pop that. I'm going to skip it. I didn't leave enough time for that. Sorry, guys. It would just pop it into your scene there exactly the same way as the video did, with no background. The final touch with any video that takes it to the next level is probably background music. Okay, and you can see there it's suggesting some stuff for me, but you can also scroll through. Okay, ideas based on your file. Maybe not. When you pop them in, they're going to come in at 100% volume, which is, a little bit too much. There we go, that'll do. You see there's my music there. Let's bring the volume right down to about 10%. And let's fade it out at the end. When you're done with this, you can download as an MP4 file, or again, what we prefer is to publish a view-only link, which it just publishes your video to the internet, and you can share without having to deal with files.
My name is Meredith, and welcome to my video about Scottish myths and legends. My favorite Scottish...
Cool. Right, guys, we're on time.